Now you see, this is the unsung joy of brewing coffee outdoors. It might seem strange to some to bring a grinder, bring a brewer and make coffee whilst you're out on a hike. Why not just, you know, bring a thermos or bring some instant? Well, this is the reason. I mean, the absolute joy of being amongst a landscape like this, like it's so dramatic and sublime. Why not have a really good drink to go with that? It's just sort of like piling joy upon joy. Well worth it. The coffee in here was made using a Cafec Deep 27. That is a brewer that's relatively new to me. It's a pour over brewer. It's a little bit different from others, and I think really, really interesting. I've been using it for a while and decided to bring it with me on this hike today. So let's tell you all about it. I took a stop about 10 minutes back up the road to make this coffee at a really interesting location. This is Abbott's Cliff Sound Mirror, and I've come here, well, to review a coffee brewer, of course. I'm out on a day hike, that's why I'm here, and I've brought with me a really good little brewer called the Cafec Deep 27. So let's talk about what the Cafec is. It's called the Deep 27 because the angle of this V here, of the funnel, is 27 degrees. That's a lot more acute than a V60, obviously. What that means is that you can get a nice deep bed with smaller amounts of coffee. This makes a great coffee out of 6 grams, 8 grams. Today I'm going to do a 12 gram 200 ml coffee, which is about the max that this can do before you kind of get into, you know, the V60 might have been nicer. I like smaller cups of coffee, so this really works well for me. So we're just waiting for the water to boil. I've got my Cafec Deep 27, lodges quite nicely on my little travel cup here. That water's gonna boil any minute. And I'll show you this cool pot that I've got. So I like a titanium cook pot, you know, nice and small and light. Pouring out of them can be tricky. I've tried a few different solutions, but I found one now that actually has a gooseneck on it. So it's like its own little gooseneck kettle. It's a gooseneck kettle end that just screws on or lives inside. Thermometer on the top. And then it's just an end cap. Screws on here. And that can be used as an ordinary cook pot. And the brand of this one is Aomian. Doesn't really mean anything to me. There are a few different versions of this online, kind of white label stuff, but really worth looking at. We're ready. Whoop. Maybe not that ready. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rinse out this paper, just as you would with the V60. And then I'm just going to make sure this is seated right nicely. It's quite a good idea with the Cafec I found just to like pull this down a little bit just so it seats really nicely. We don't get unwanted channeling. That looks good. Stick that on there, stick that on there. In goes our grounds. 12 grams, as I say, that's probably the max I'd want to do in this. Now, because of the small aperture, you can get away without a pouring kettle, but you know, because I've got one, I'm going to use one. So that's a 40 gram bloom I'll do a double bloom on this. But what you get is kind of like lots of kind of pulses with using this amount of coffee in here. And it ends up quite nice. And it is a quick running brewer. That probably helps with that kind of like high clarity. So you're going to get a more tea-like coffee. And then I'm just going to pulse this up to 200. Now, the thing that I really like about this is the fact that it makes a good cup with a small amount of coffee. So a traditional V60, if you've got 6-8 grams in there, you end up with a very shallow bed. You get a crazy amount of vegetation and you end up with a muddy coffee. But with this you can use a small dose in and still end up with a really nicely extracted drink at the end. This allows you to have good coffee, allows you to bring less beans if you are traveling and worried about weight. So these are all good things that I like about this brewer. Another great aspect of this brewer is the cleanup. It's as simple as with a V60. Pull that out, bag it up, take it away, and you're done. This can be rinsed out and it's ready to go. Again, quite easy to clean, dries nice and quick. It's perfect, really. Here we go. And here we are at Abbott's Cliff, having a nice coffee. It really is a lovely coffee. I'm going to let that cool for a minute while I pack up my gear, and I'm going to carry this with me whilst I continue on what is turning out to be a really lovely mid-March day hike. See ya.